Hi everyone, it's me again, Ruby. I've come up with a story that is horror thriller in themed, also part documentary and dark humor category, which includes coarse drama type linguistics. I wrote this with the intention of hopefully being able to make it into a film plus trilogy. So there are two main characters. One girl who is a stereotypical typed bimbo, and second more of a nerd. Single. And talking about how to find a good man, overhear two men at a bar who were talking about how Papua New Guinea is the new holiday destination for the elite, and how surprised they were when they arrived to see lots of wealthy footballers there, and that it made sense because it's so far away from the media and all. Tilda's single and excited but also exhausted of trying to find a man via various dating apps. They make a plan to go on holiday to Papua New Guinea to try to score themselves a successful man or AFL star. They book the flights, hotel, and get on the plane. Tilda arrive at the airport that's near to empty when they arrive. They're tired. So once they get to their hotel, they decide to rest. And after they're done resting, they decide to make themselves look pretty for going out to one of the local bars they arrive. And they're looking around and shocked that there's only really local people there. And there's no well-to-do or AFL plus league-type people there. Or players. So they decided to have a drink and talk about what to do. They haven't really planned out what to do on the holiday, because they thought that they were going to be mingling with the elite. Some of the local men of Papua New Guinea sight them. Amazed by their beauty, they decide to sit down at the bar with them, but are rejected. The girls talk amongst themselves about how disappointed they are that they haven't really seen anyone of any interest yet. The rejected men observe them from afar whilst they decide on what to do. The girls are also deciding what to do. And so after some thought, the girls think it's best to go back to the hotel and rest some more so they can go for a walk around the town during the day. They walk around and look in a few market stores and separate for a while. All of a sudden, the bimbo rejoins the nerdy girl and tells her she just met a local who has told her that his friend owns a car, and they both want to take them on a free trip to see the giant turtle sanctuary, so the girls can have photos taken with the giant turtles they have there captive. Nerdy girl holds her friend in a hysterical mannerism and asks her, "Are you stupid? Are you really happy to trust these random men who are ugly just like that?" And continues by asking her, "Would you enjoy possibly being raped by 100 or thousands of them, and possibly forced to have children, and see them be raped, including by the women?" Bimbo looks shocked at her nerdy friend's sudden reaction, and so begs her not to be so negative and tells her to come with her now so we can go see the turtles. Miserably, whilst trying to manipulate her friend, nerdy girl says okay. But let's not rush Tilda. Let's go back to the hotel first, and let me call a registered tour guide at least to see if it actually exists first. Then we can get a professional to take us. Bimbo gets manipulated by nerdy girl and agrees, so they both go back to the hotel with her friend. Nerdy girl goes through the hotel guide and calls one of the tour guides. She starts making an inquiry about the turtle tours and is told there's no such thing, and that the turtles that she is talking about are actually endangered, and you actually have to be lucky to come across one. They're very rare. Nerdy girl relays the information back to her friend and has the emotional outburst, thanking God in heaven, and continues her outburst by telling her friend, "I am smart, and we could have been kidnapped." Bimbo is hysterically looking up and down and realizes how dumb she is. Miserable. The holiday isn't what they expected. They discuss what to do, and so finally they agree there's not that much to do. Bimbo comes up with an idea about going for a walk in the bush. There's lots of forest land nearby. Nerdy girl looks at her and agrees, and so tries to plan out an exploration by looking on her phone map at the terrains. They both fall asleep. Morning eventually comes, and so they wake up and go for breakfast and start talking to the staff about what they're going to be up to today. And the staff couldn't agree more that it would be such a good idea to go for a walk on such a nice day. Excited, they both start walking in the forest, and there actually appears to be a ready-made path. Bimbo starts to get bitten by a spider as they're walking but doesn't realize. She looks down and there's a mosquito on her leg, and she is hysterical and smashes it, the mosquito. In horror, she tells her friend. "Oh my gosh, I just got bitten," is hysterical, and continues on about them not even having shots before they decided traveling. Nerdy girl calms her down by going off at her. "Remember, you have health insurance, and everything will be okay." Bimbo goes on hysterically about how she doesn't even think this place would even have a hospital. Nerdy girl calms her down by saying, "Of course there's a hospital! There's hospitals in every country. And if there's not Australia is so close by, we can just get back on a flight and everything will be okay." They keep walking around the forest and get out some snacks that they had prepared in their satchels and keep walking. They're taking photos, and Bimbo is enjoying the scenery. Nerdy girl's dad calls and asks, "What are you doing?" Nerdy girl didn't actually even tell him that they were on holiday, and the Bimber didn't either. They just sort of planned it on the spot, so he asks, "How come when I called?" The phone diverted to Welcome to Papagine Network. Nerdy girl goes on to Daddy on the phone. "Sorry, Daddy, I didn't tell you that I decided we were going for a holiday," he asks. "What are you doing over there?" He's pissed off, angry. He wasn't asked or told about it until now, and so informs her daughter to be very careful. Lots of the population over there are poverty-stricken, have AIDS, hepatitis, genital warts, and whatnot, and that a lot of the population there still contains cannibals. Why they didn't you two consider Vanuatu first? An island more nearby that at least doesn't still have cannibals? Nerdy girl says, "Stop it, Dad. You're just being really racist. It can't be that bad. It's so close to Australia." The phone dies, and Nerd just looks at Bimbo and says, "Oh my gosh, this is why I never tell him what I'm up to. He believes in never leaving Australia." Bimbo replies, "I only really heard half of the conversation. What did your dad say?" The nerdy girl just says to her, "Don't worry, he was just really angry and upset that I didn't run it past him first and doesn't understand why I didn't." Nerdy girl then asks Bimbo, "Is your phone still working?" Bimbo says, "Yes, but I have no reception." The nerdy girl's phone is flat, but she hasn't told Bimbo, so nerdy girl and Bimbo get tired, and so they decide to stop and have a break. Sitting on two logs, Bimbo looks at nerdy girl and sees a spider and gets up all of a sudden to get away from her and slips and gets some dirt on her and tells her that there's a huge spider on your arm. From the ground, "Stay away and get rid of the spider." Nerdy girl looks down at the spider and faints. Bimbo finds a stick and tries to get the spider of her friend, and then drags her away from the spider and tries to resuscitate her, but then she faints again, so she stays with her a while, hoping she comes good. But she's just not waking up, and it's getting cold and dark. Not knowing what to do, she decides to cover her jumper and leave it on her friend to try and keep her warm overnight, while she tries to find her way back to try and get some help. She's hysterical, trying her best in one direction, but manages to eventually find her way back and gets into the hotel via her key, which was luckily in her pocket. Sweating, she goes to their room and charges up her phone. She's exhausted and falls asleep. She wakes up in the morning feeling so sick her friend has been abandoned in the forest in the middle of nowhere for more than 15 hours. She calls her friend's father and tells him what has happened and continues to go on about how she doesn't know what to do, so he says, he continues by telling her that he doesn't even have a passport. Stay in the hotel and everything will be okay. She starts crying to herself. He hangs up. Angrily, the dad calls the Australian embassy whilst the mum calls federal police, and soon later they come to the hotel to talk to Bimbo. They end up sending her back to Australia. She receives a letter in the mail saying that they never found her friend, and she remains missing. And her mother and father are informed they're told that there's nothing the embassy can really do in a letter that describes how they tried, and all they can do is list her as a missing person. Her father finally gets his passport and hops on a plane and starts looking around as soon as they arrive with one of his man friends, who's more decrepit looking than himself since they both haven't slept, to try and find his daughter by asking around amongst the locals, and no information can be found. So they both have a break and head over to the local bar of Papua New Guinea, have a drink, and see some famous AFL players walk in and spot some other elite types eating in. Two Papua New Guineans, Joe and Marcus, stand disheartened in their backyard, surrounded by captive turtles. They haven't been able to lure any girls from overseas yet to see their turtle collection. They were hoping to raise money and international awareness for their private sanctuary to help the endangered turtles that they had taken upon themselves. Looking to the sky for answers, they remained determined to persevere, knowing that their efforts were not in vain.